In 1987, Duff and the band departed for the world tour of Appetite for Destruction. What had begun as typical rock star party was starting to go over the top. Duff would snort or pop just about anything, but it was the drinking that really escalated.
I think one of the reasons why they drank so much was, to party and to have a good time, but also to get numb. You have no idea, any of us who aren't in that place, what it's like to have that many people wanting a piece of it.
I started to do cocaine, I started to do pills, and I was drinking. I could afford vodka now, and I'd have cases at home.
1, 2.
After the success of Appetite, Duff and the band released their second album, GNR, Lies. The record hit shelves on November 29, 1988. Powered by hits like Patience, the new record roared to number 2 on the Billboard music charts. But with more success came more pressure to make another hit. To deal with it, Duff kept pounding the vodka.
Every drama and every little thing that would happen would amplify my need for a drink. My intake got to be a gallon a day.
The pressure built as the band headed back into the studio later that year to record 2 more records, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. In 1991, Illusion 1 and 2 owned the charts and set the stage for an epic 2.5-year world tour.
Somewhere deep into the Use Your Illusions tour, I noticed Duff wasn't looking too good. You could see it in his face that he just didn't look the healthiest.
Everybody was drunk on stage, and definitely Slash and I were drunk on stage. I couldn't put the brakes on. I think my thought process was live fast, die young.
The tour finally ended in Buenos Aires on July 17, 1993. But by then, Duff was strung out on drugs and alcohol, and tensions in the band were running high.
I think the length of the tour really wore everybody down. It's not as glamorous as people might think.
Drugs were pushing everybody into their private little worlds and private little corners with their dealers and each of their own little hanger-outers.
After 9 years on the bass for GNR, Duff needed to escape. In 1994, he bought a house in Seattle. Duff was no longer touring, but his habits, the gallon of vodka a day and the heavy drugs, stayed with him. Only now, Duff had lost all control.
His face was a little puffy. He didn't look very healthy, and it was obviously due to the alcohol he was drinking.
I was afraid to listen to my radio because I was afraid at any moment I was going to hear Howard Stern announce to me that Duff McKagan had died.
The fear was well-founded. Duff's years of hardcore alcohol abuse had pushed his body to the limit, and soon it was going to take him right to the edge. Duff McKagan was about to die. In 1994, after 9 years of living the hard rock lifestyle, Guns N' Roses bassist Duff McKagan was done. While still officially with GNR, he had stopped touring. But one thing he hadn't stopped was his hardcore drinking habit.
We've tried to intervene and, we just can't get our hands around it because until someone's ready to heal themselves, there's nothing you can do.
He was getting to a point where I could tell the alcohol, it was saturating him. And he knew he had a problem. And he actually talked to me about it.
I was bloated. I'd stopped doing cocaine. I stopped drinking vodka and thought I'd just drink wine. I would drink 10 bottles of wine and light beer. It was me cutting down a case of light beer and 10 bottles of wine.
But Duff's rehabilitation plan wasn't working. And on the morning of May 10th, 1994, Duff woke up in severe pain.
I'd been drinking a lot of wine, so I was getting heartburn all the time. But this morning I woke up, I was like, wow, I got heartburn again, But then it started to feel like a sharp pain, like stuck somewhere in your stomach.
Within minutes, the pain became unbearable. Duff rolled out of bed and onto the floor, just hoping the pain would pass. It didn't.
It got to a point where the pain was so bad, I was shaking, and I couldn't move.
Duff McKagan was slowly dying. Finally, he mustered up the energy to call his only close friend, Andy Fortier.
I was at my house, And I got a phone call from him. And he said, like 2 words, "Help me." And I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Help. Something's wrong." I said, "I'll be right over."
As the minutes ticked by, the pain only grew more intense.
I heard his footsteps coming up the stairs up to the bedroom. And he came in and he saw me in fetal position, and I just remember him going, "Oh, it finally happened."
Not sure what was wrong, Andy drove Duff down the street to his doctor, Brad Thomas's office.
Got him up, got him out of there, got some sweatpants on him, dumped him in the car, drove over to Brad Thomas's because it's literally 2 minutes away from his house.
In the office, the doctor gave Duff a shot of painkillers.
Nothing happened. Pain was still excruciating. He said, "It's going to be faster if you get his ass in the car and you get him to the hospital and you get him there right now."
As they sped to Seattle's Northwest Hospital, Duff remained in excruciating pain.
He said, "Just kill me. Just kill me. I can't stand this." I mean, I've never seen anybody in so much pain.
Minutes later, Andy burst into the ER with Duff in his arms.
Andy, like, kind of dragged me out of the car into the emergency room. I couldn't even moan. I was maybe whimpering.
ER docs quickly assessed Duff's situation. He had a rapid heart rate, a high fever, and chills. His abdomen was swollen and exceedingly tender. They called for an emergency ultrasound. The scan revealed Duff was suffering from acute pancreatitis.